Ever since I played into B0, I'm falling into the world of Half-Life mods. I admire the dedication of these modders to give us essentially free games, with a lot of them having great storytelling, gameplay, and visuals. Plus, my terrible computer can handle most of them. Emphasis on most. Thus, I decided that for this video, I will review a Half-Life mod instead of the movies I've been doing, as these have a lesser chance of me getting a freaking copyright strike. And so, I'm gonna take a look at the Wilson Chronicles. The Wilson Chronicles is a Half-Life 2 mod developed by the Wilson Chronicles dev team, a team based in France and led by Pierre d'Albe. In the mod, you play as Major Darren Wilson, no, not that Wilson, a member of the military research division in the Black Mesa Research Facility. One day, Wilson drives into work on the same day as the residents cascade, and when things go to hell, he must now fight and survive the Zen invasion, and later on, the military. Now the mod is currently unfinished, with the latest update being in 2019, 6 years ago. 2019 was 6 years ago, holy crap. It started way back in 2008 and got into Steam in 2016 as early access. But after 2019, the mod's development stalled, and while the creator has been online for a bit, there have been no updates and the mod seemed to be abandoned or at least in a hiatus. So how is the released version of the mod? Well, let's get into it. The mod's story is about Wilson trying to survive the Black Mesa incident and, well, that's it. The story is quite thin. It's 1 to 2 hours, depending on how you play, of running and shooting through Black Mesa, with little sense of thinking or living, considering there are barely any puzzles too. The thin story is contributed to the mod not really giving any narrative device to tell a story, if you get what I mean. Most great Half-Life mods have a narrative device that will tell you some sort of story, and it can be through dialogue or visual storytelling. This mod lacks in dialogue as it reuses dialogue from Half-Life 2 for the scientists and security guards and Half-Life 1 for the soldiers. And in regards to visual storytelling, besides the dilapidated look of Black Mesa and the arrival of the soldiers, it certainly is lacking as it doesn't give a much more clear story visually. The AGCU radio chatter and the announcement system give some sort of story, but well, they were reused from the original Half-Life and thus feel hollow. The lack of a narrative device basically gives us little purpose in what we have to do. Like, what is our goal? Is it to escape or to save everyone? Naturally, the mod doesn't have any real characters, with the closest being this security guard who is with us for a big chunk of the mod. If he dies, it's an instant game over. But he barely does anything as an ally. Hell, one time I accidentally shot him in a gunfight and he starts firing right back at me. Like, the original Half-Life had the security guard AI know if a shot from a player was accidental or not. This guy just instantly goes with a gun after I accidentally shot him. Also in this part, he, for some reason, dies when I bomb into him. And so, to prevent him from dying and frustrating me, I just have him wait in another room while I deal with the soldiers. I think the story can be improved by us interacting with things that give us a story, like getting access to multiple computer terminals and getting contacted by scientists and stuff through text. Or the AGV suit has some sort of communication function that lets us see communication, status updates, and developments via text on screen. Especially since it's clear that Wilson wears a helmet unlike Gordon. It would give us at least a clearer narrative device and some sense of purpose. Besides the thin story, I also have problems with the mod's chapters. The mod has 7 chapters. But they're less like chapters and more like maps as they start with map changes and they're like at least 10 to 20 minutes to play. For 7 chapters you would expect more, but it's just map changes that are labeled as a new chapter, which are not what chapters are in Half-Life games as they're usually large sections of the game with a clear theme. Different from a map change as that's us seamlessly going through a new map as chapters are divided into different maps. Anyway, aside from the bare-bones story, the chapter problem and the lack of puzzles, let's talk about the gameplay, level design, and the visuals, which, by the way, are the best things about this mod. Now, although each chapter is just a map change, the mod's level design and visuals are great. The depiction of Black Mesa is well designed with a bunch of custom models and stuff. It noticeably has a lot of green accents and stripes here and there, which aligns with Wilson's green aesthetic, but it doesn't feel too out of place for a place like Black Mesa. A lot of the updated models look great, like the health and suit chargers, the medkits, the batteries, and more. When you first step into Black Mesa, it feels quite live with the characters and their interactions. Even when they use weird voice lines, with them doing little routines and stuff. The sounds of like doors opening up along with the announcement system adding to the ambience, making it feel like a working facility before the disaster. Yeah, there are some funny moments with dialogue here and there.
Wait a second. That's not Gordon Freeman. Oops. You're not the man I thought you were.
However, it has some problems, like the environment isn't all that interactive, the reused voice lines aren't always creative, and the characters don't even get annoyed when you throw things at them. Little touches like those can make a game feel alive, so the mod like having those make the face feel a bit off. Plus, there's some confusion about which door we can open. A lot of doors can open despite making the opening sound, but later on in the mod, this door opens despite not having the handle. Like, what? Which door can be opened? Makes me wonder how many doors I want past that I can actually open. Now, after the Western Cascade starts, a Hound Knight knocks us out and we meet some Bordergons. We wake up in a dilapidated Black Mesa and I gotta say, it looks fantastic. It really looked like things went to shit in here. And the places we walked to got some changes, like this part being blocked off by some sand dirt or something, which is pretty neat. After that, we crawl through some vents and rooms and eventually find ourselves a green AGB suit that looks pretty cool. I like the design of this thing. It has some curves around it and it's distinct from other AGB suit designs. Also, near the green suit, we got this blue AGB suit with a D on the door. We'll get back to that later as it's related to another mod. After we get into the AGB suit, we get the first weapon of the mod, our fists, which we use to punch some head crabs. But then we get an accelerator which kinda negates the fists. They both serve the same purpose of being a melee weapon and there's not much difference in how they act, so having them both is redundant here. This unfortunately is not the first problem this mod has with redundancy. We'll come back to that topic multiple times later. The second chapter revolves around us going through the hallways of Black Mesa and fighting zombies, Hound Knights, and bullshits for our security guard buddy. With us getting a Glock later and riding the tram where we go past some Bordergons. The design of the Glock feels good and it sounds really great. I love the gunshot sounds, it feels punchy. The models of the Hound Knights and the bullshits look decent, and the zombies include both scientists and security guard zombies. However, I have some issues with the movement. Mainly that I can't sprint after getting the AGB suit. I can only walk and it makes things feel slow at times. The next chapter is a hospital area where we get the shotgun, which I have some mixed thoughts. I don't really like the shotgun design. The barrels look too skinny here, it kinda looks like a Roblox model. Also, I initially didn't like the sound of normal fire. It might be realistic but it doesn't feel punchy. Hell, I think the double barrel shot sound should be the sound of the normal shot. But on a second playthrough, the sound of normal fire grew on me and I actually liked it a bit now. The design is still poor in my opinion, but it feels good to use. I really don't have much to say about the hospital area. It's kinda the same thing with the dilapidated hallways we got earlier. The level design is great and the combat encounters are fun, though we got Zen creatures popping like jump scares in here. And there's some environmental storytelling with the bodies on this health sign sprouting blood. We also got grenades, which, while the explosion particles look cool, I didn't really use them because I don't regularly use grenades when I play shooters. Also, it was at this point that I realized the mod doesn't have supply crates. I tried breaking the regular crates as they had supplies in Half-Life 1, but they don't have anything in them. This means that when I'm low on supplies with no charges around or weapons dropped by enemies, I have to scour for them as they're randomly placed around the map, just out in the open. However, they're pretty inconsistent in how they're placed, leading to me having multiple moments where I had low health, which was pretty frustrating as I keep dying. Then we get to the next chapter where it starts with this guy dying in the most ridiculous way possible. We got an office area here and we meet the HECU, who shockingly are the bad guys. This is where we get the MP5 after killing one of them. Now the office area is well designed with a lot of detail, though you might have noticed some shading or reflection issues here. You can vaguely see the purple checker boxes in the reflections of the cubicles here. Now the combat with the HECU, oh boy are they fun. The HECU are placed in areas that give us some fun and thrilling combat encounters, even if my computer lags a lot because of how garbage it is. The MP5 here feels and sounds really good in the combat sections, especially with the satisfying firing sound. Then there's this big area where you have multiple ways to approach the soldiers. You can go left, right, or through the windows and give some variety and replay value. It's definitely the best part of the office area. Hell, probably the whole mod. The office area is also the place that I remember having something that's like a puzzle, though I'm kinda stretching it. It's just us going through a bed to open a door for the security guy. Going through the next map, which is probably the only time we got a map change that isn't labeled as a new chapter, we can see the soldiers fighting the boards in the parking lot, which is very cool to see here. We later get to a sewer area where we split from our security guard buddy by going down here and through this tunnel where we found some soldiers camping out. We then crawl through these vents and then fall down when the section collapsed, where we then lost all of our weapons and entered the next chapter. This chapter is fine. We got new guns like the revolver and the M4, but I don't think the level's design is all that good. It's mostly a watered down version of the dilapidated Black Mesa from the earlier chapters, and it feels really bland. The revolver acts the same as the one from Half-Life 2 where it's the more powerful handgun, while the M4 is a more powerful rifle than the MP5, but the muzzle flash here is too big and blocks the view a bit. Also, the M4 is the only automatic weapon with a grenade launcher, which comes in handy. However, I don't see the point in us losing our weapons here. While it initially seemed like it's gonna be one of those tense non-weapon sections like the one from Entropy 02, we quickly get an X, a revolver, and the M4 after we wake up. Even if it's not a non-weapon section, I think the firearms should come later, with us doing combat with the axe and our fist before we gradually get the revolver and finally the M4. It just feels pointless using our weapons here. We then got some alien controls here, and of course they're freaking annoying as hell. Then we get introduced to the Black Ops in this level, in a combat encounter that I say is decently designed. You get a crate here to act as cover, and as you go up you have a clear view of the Black Ops on top. Also, we get the G36 here, which is the main weapon of the Black Ops, and it's a fine weapon. It feels and sounds good to use. But it came shortly after we got the M4. Yeah, there's the redundancy problem again. They gave us another automatic weapon. Now, having more weapons is not bad, but they need to be diverse. For example, Half-Life 1 had a bunch of weapons, but all of them were different and unique. The G36, however, doesn't feel that much different from the M4. It's just another automatic weapon that looks cool. No unique mechanics, advantages, flaws, or whatever, besides being able to hold more ammo than the M4. It feels redundant to get a third automatic weapon shortly after getting the M4. They should have just made the M4 the main weapon of the Black Ops, or get rid of the M4 and have the G36 as a second automatic weapon. Next we got the service chapter, which is a total lie because we only had the service for this part before going down a sewer. We're also introduced to AGCU and Black Ops zombies, though they just act like normal zombies and not like the Zombines, which is pretty disappointing. The parking lot here looks nice with some subtle environmental storytelling. We can tell that the soldiers were holding out but then got ambushed by headcraftsman zombies and lost. Also, we can find our car here. Now, the outside area looks nice, but it's such a small part of the service that I feel like it should be more. It's just this area between a parking lot and a tunnel. For a chapter called Service, this is not a lot of service. Killing some Black Ops and alien controllers, we go down the sewer where we go through some tunnels with some pretty good music. And we find ourselves in the hazard course from the tutorial level. I didn't even realize it was the hazard course until I noticed the consoles here. It's cool to see this recreated here. The final section of this chapter is us fighting some AGCU soldiers in a unique combat encounter on a platform with barnacles. It seems like the soldiers were holding out. Going down an elevator, we found ourselves in a sewer area with Zen flora that doesn't feel right. These light things doesn't hide themselves until I get real close to them. Also, these Zen trees don't even attack me. As much with the problems of the Zen flora, this is just me nitpicking though. The Zen flora are just decor for the sewer that we quickly exit. We then find a storage room with weapons, regaining all of our previous lost weapons, including the MP5, alongside getting a crowbar and a Beretta, both of which are utterly useless. We already got our fist and the axe, and the Beretta literally deals the same damage as the Glock. These weapons are redundant, just like I said before about the axe and the G36. We got 3 automatic weapons, 3 melee weapons, and 2 pistols. and almost all serve the same purpose with little differences and variety and are practically the same thing just with different models. We later get into the final combat section where it's a standoff between us with a couple of Scurry Gods and Scientists against a squad of Black Ops. It's a really fun and challenging combat section, probably tying with the 3-way approach office area section, and if you're quick to take them out, you can have several of your allies survive. The mod ends with us getting into an elevator with text on screen saying to be continued. So, how's the mod? It's decent. The strong suit is in the level design and the gameplay. The level design is great and they did a good job recreating Black Mesa in Source. And each level doesn't feel confusing, you would know where you go. The level design works for combat encounters, with the enemies placed strategically, a lot of places to take cover, and different ways to approach the combat. And thus it feels really fun while also challenging when we're fighting. Most of the weapons feel good to use and look and sound great, with some mixed feelings on the shotgun, though it did grow on me. Also, the music is fantastic, especially the one that plays when you get to the hazard course. However, now to the negatives. The story is thin and you don't really have a purpose. You just run around Black Mesa fighting soldiers, Zen creatures, and Black Ops just doing random stuff. The Scurry God companion sucks ass, he's just slowing us down and we can't even get rid of him. Most of the time the chapters are just map changes and while they're fun to play, they feel short. We got way too many weapons with little variety, just almost exact duplicates. The mod barely has any puzzles, which while it wouldn't change much if we had them, puzzles would give the mod more flavor. Alongside that, there are some minor issues with the reflections in the mod. Supplies are sometimes scarce and you often find yourself at low health. The AGCU and Black Ops zombie behavior should have been based on the Zombie. And of course, we can't sprint, which can make things slow at times. All of this is probably due to it being unfinished, but since this is probably the only release of this god we'll ever get, this is the criticism we'll get. But I'd say the good outweighs the bad. It's still a fun mod to play through and I had a great time playing. Now if you remember, there's that blue HEB suit that I'd say I'd come back to. Well, it's actually from a spin-off mod called Dane Chronicles, developed by Al Bundy. It uses assets from the Wilson Chronicles and has assistance from Creator Al. The mod have you playing Dane Wasowski, an analyst specialist at Black Mesa in the top secret Sector U. After the Resonance Cascade happened, you find yourself hunted by the AGCU and find creatures from Zen. And after getting a blue HEB suit, you must now escape Sector U. Now the mod is actually cancelled with the developer stopping development to develop another game called Go to Hell, an old school pixelated style FPS that looks pretty good. But they did release when they finished after they stopped development, and I played through it. Here it actually has a story where Dane, who has an actual voice actor here,
I guess the wolves finally catch me.
is trapped and he has contact with the G-Man, who helps him evade some soldiers. But I didn't finish the mod, as when I went through this map change, it would always crash. I don't know if it's because of the game itself or my shitty computer, so I'm not gonna give any full criticism to it because I don't think it's fair to criticize a mod that I haven't finished. Especially since I don't know if the crash is due to the mod itself or my computer. What I'm gonna say is that the level design and the visuals are good, and the opening puzzle is quite clever. I suggest you guys play the Dane Chronicles yourself because, well, I can't finish it, so come up with your own opinions. So Wilson Chronicles, it's a good mod, with the level design, the gameplay, and the visuals carrying this mod. The creator is still active on ModDB and I hope they come back to finish the mod since I like what they're doing. So yeah, that's it.